Welcome to Mutual Music, the podcast where human creativity meets machine intelligence. I'm your host, Ryan Thompson, musician, producer, and AI music explorer. Each episode, we dive into the art, ethics, and evolution of AI-generated music, talking with the creators, technologists, and dreamers who are redefining how sound is made and shared. Whether you're an artist, curious about AI tools, or a fan fascinated by what's next, this is your backstage pass to the future of music. Let's plug in. All right, welcome to the Mutual Music Podcast, where we explore all things related to AI music. I'm Ryan Thompson. Thanks for joining us today. I'm also happy to be joined by my good friend Justin Jewett, who is an artist, fellow creator, and AI enthusiast, and we're going to get into it and talk about all things AI music today. So Justin, quick intro. Could you give us a little bit of background about yourself?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Just a little bit of background. I make toys and books and always have some kind of weird project going. My brand name is called Therefore Null, and that usually manifests as like zines or t-shirts, but in one of those t-shirt projects, I had an idea for a fake band, a fake rock festival,
Right.
and just started thinking of band names and put it on a t-shirt. And fast forward a couple years, and here we are, kind of talking about it, and it's come back to life in this really surprising way. So I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And probably like myself, you're not new to AI, obviously, maybe new to the AI music scene, but you have spent time, obviously you come from a technical background, so you spent time dealing with AI and doing cool things with AI. Can you talk just a little bit about some of those things? Two things that interested me were the Mondrian Spaces concept book that you did, as well as the Tumblr thing. You hacked your own Tumblr, so that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, Mondrian Spaces was really kind of the first project that I used to get to know Midjourney, making images from prompts. It really was about exploring the artistic style of P.A. Mondrian in conjunction with really mundane liminal spaces like bathrooms and hallways and playgrounds and stuff like that. It was really gratifying. I then kind of took those images and remixed them into all kinds of other things, which was a lot of fun and something that I like about AI stuff. And then the Tumblr project, I had just maybe 10 years of reposts on Tumblr that I hadn't really had much access to, and kind of felt like this would be an inspiring trove of images, but I didn't want to spend time dealing with Tumblr. So, talked to chat and figured out a way to just suck all that down onto my own machine to have it forever. So there we go.
Cool. Well, definitely not a noob in the AI space, but relatively new to AI music, I guess, from a creation standpoint. So we're going to get
relatively new to music. Period. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Well, I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know. It's in you, man. It is in you. We've been working together on this project, which is currently called Bottomless, and this whole festival. You're a musician at heart. I know that. I can tell.
Thank you.
Yeah, but we will get into that in a bit. So I think the first and probably most timely bit of AI news is the hubbub about "Walk My Walk" by a band called Breaking Rust. The headline is this band or this song was the #1 on the country Billboard charts. Turns out it's not. It's #1 for, what did I say? #1 for country digital song sales. So if you go look at the country charts, it's actually not on there. It's not even on the top 50, but it is a country digital song sales. And then of course it's got all this juice now because of it's getting picked up in the social headlines. But I wanted to take a listen to that, and maybe you and I could go through this together, and I will share my screen. We'll go to this wonderful YouTube video that's been created. I don't know if it's the same person, but it's
or are there people involved at all?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. So this is just want to make sure you can see this here.
Yep, I sure can.
Okay, cool. And we're gonna play a little bit of this. This is Breaking Rust with "Walk My Walk." Oh, Look at that.
He's pretty.
Yeah.
That like AI smoke halo was clutch.
Yeah. Yeah.
You pointed out that he's currently not playing a chord on the guitar.
Not a real chord, no. He's having a whiskey that doesn't move.
This is kind of South Park. Yeah, it's like Terrence and Phillip mouth.
Yeah. Yeah, the body stays still, and yeah. Also, like, you know, like when you meet somebody and the voice doesn't match the face?
Yes.
This is... I don't see
He sounds much more soulful
than the Prairie Cowboy.
Yeah.
Then there he is in the stew.
Oh, in the studio? There's some more AI smoke?
He's got a girl. He kind of vacillates, too, between, like, human and then cartoon.
Yeah. I wish I knew how many prompts were involved in this video. You know what I mean?
I would
like,
love to see the... Yeah, and also, like...
together.
Oh, there you go. A little romance.
And then their lips just, like,
And then he's
blend
just
into each
walking
other.
backwards down the freeway. Just...
Right.
Kick rocks.
Broken Rust is actually homeless.
Yeah. I love it.
It's interesting, this like music style, it's like a very soulful, you know, country western song.
Yeah.
It's not as poppy as a lot of the stuff now, you know, that this is more like a dirge. Oh, look at these cowboy boots with laces on them.
AI hallucinations are just like...
Yeah, he's...
They're like,
he's a country G.I. Joe.
That's what boots have. He's like, where are you going? Yeah.
Yeah, okay, some of these shots are repeating.
Ben Affleck, a little bit. Not anymore, though.
Yeah, he
does. Changed. Yeah, there you go. So anyway, this is popular, I guess. I don't know if it's popular as like a novelty or like real music, you know? Like, I don't know if there's a TikTok dance that's been created for this or what, but...
It's really interesting. I mean, there's so many... The attitude is very like, try that in a small town. Like, go ahead and kick rocks. Go ahead and go fuck yourself.
Yeah, he's gonna walk his walk.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
anyway,
anyway,
that's sad about it though.
Yeah, he's not happy. This is got a lot of smoke behind it in the socials. I don't know if the video is, you know, if that's actually part of the deal. But,
if it's the official deal.
Yeah. So, all right, let's break that down real quick. You know, created by AI. I went on to Apple Music and Spotify, and you know they're not trying to fake it. They actually say this is AI music, which is good, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you know, I guess it says a couple things to me. One is like, just if people are enjoying that music, they probably haven't seen the video. And then two, if you are enjoying that music, it's like, what does that say about taste and just like, you know, how taste is made these days and what people are like going like, yeah, that's awesome. I mean, you know, I can see that maybe playing in the background of a movie or something, like when somebody's walking backwards down the freeway with a guitar, but it like, that's not a good song. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I think you're right about like, you know, when you watch a lot of these like unscripted TV shows like 90 Day Fiancé or Love is Blind, there's music in those things.
Yeah.
And you're like, is this a real song or is this just about that? But it did have that kind of flavor for accompanying, you know, it doesn't feel like music that's supposed to be consumed by itself. The other thing that I notice is that it does also feel like, you know, if there's no Shabuzi, there's no Broken Rust. Like it's really kind of like piggybacking off of almost like a direct trend. You know,
I thought it was a Shabuzi song. I was like, you play those back to back in the club, and you know, Jack Daniels and then rock kicking.
Somebody listened to that. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, yeah. This guy on the prairie, he's a cattle wrestler, and he's just like, you know what? I feel like that's me, and if you don't like it, you kick rocks.
It will be really, really interesting to see how that community or that industry, that genre, responds to that music. There's just been so much controversy in that genre in the past, you know, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 8 years where, you know, if we're going back. Yeah, in country, like we were talking about this when Lil Nas X released Old Town Road.
Yeah.
Originally, everybody, and by people I mean everybody, was bananas about that song, right?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
slowly the hardcore country community started to realize, oh, this is a black guy, this is a gay guy, this is a whatever. Did not really react against the fact that that whole song is built on a Nine Inch Nails sample. You know what I mean? That was fine for country, but he's black. This is built on nothing, and it's not even a black guy. Like, it's just not even a guy. You know what I mean? So, like, I wonder what the hierarchy of prejudice is going to be, when each industry starts to get infiltrated by some of this phantom music.
Yeah, I mean, I think especially in country too. So you had Lil Nas X, and then you had the whole Beyonce thing, right? And like,
Beyonce.
She got snubbed at the Grammys or whatever when her first album came out. And I can't tell you if it's a good country album or not. I like Beyonce. I think Beyonce is great. I think her music was as original or as unoriginal as every other country artist that's out there now. I was like, let it play. But people really push back on that too. But yeah, now you have something being created by a computer that is, I don't know, like, and it sounds like you said, like Shabuzi or one of those things. So like, are we now introducing elements of plagiarism of, like, but like, what do you have to be bigoted about at this point? If you're country music, you're like, there's a robot. I really don't like robots, and we're not gonna let robots make music.
There must be some hierarchy.
Shows. There's got to be, right? Yeah, they're just like, are you this? Are you that? Are you human? Are you? yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it says a lot about. I think it has more to say about if this is popular and it's truly getting activity, like legitimate activity, where people are like, yeah, I love that song, I'm gonna play it a lot. It's got millions of streams on Spotify. If that's happening, that means people are listening to it. And if they're listening to it, it's like, what do you like about that? That's not a good song. But who am I to say? I have taste is subjective. And so it's been made, it's out there. And I think what else is interesting is that you're seeing all of these songs now get mixed in, right? Because of streaming. It's like, we have no real way to tell if it's made with AI or not.
That's right.
You're seeing all these songs get mixed in with streaming services. And I think, pretty soon, real soon, probably, like once we drop the stuff we're doing, you're not gonna be able to tell, right? Yeah. It's gonna be.
I don't think so.
There's like legitimate bands that are making music, or have been made, and music has been made from AI, and it's gonna be, and so as a consumer, are you mad about it? Are you happy about it? I don't know. I mean, what's your take on it? How do you feel about that?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, my first reaction is to stupidly empathize with the celebrity, right? Like, oh man, they must be so bummed.
Right.
But then I kind of hear myself and go, that's a little extreme. I mean, it really is going to boil down to what people want to listen to, right? And there are going to be people who are selective, right? And really want to make sure that they only want to listen to human music. But here's the secret. Just because it's made by a human does not mean that it's good. You know what I mean? Like, we've been experiencing that for the past 1,000 years.
You're right.
And before AI slop, there was tons and tons of stock photography, stock video, stock sound slop that people were putting together. There was music channels. There was all these things. So I do still think that, like, the consumer, kind of like the high fidelity consumer that's like a little bit more snobby about what they're listening to, they're going to be the ones that have to be brought along, maybe. But the people that are listening to Kick Rocks Down the Street by Breaking Rest or whatever it is, that there's a barrier that is low, and if it's on, I'm into it. You know what I mean? Like, it seems like it's not going to matter. And so then my next thought is like, shit, it just seems like there's going to be a lot more music. It feels like there's too much music to listen to now. So I wonder how people are going to navigate that. If it's going to become more genreified than, like back in the 80s, where you did not just listen to all music. You either listened to the punk records that you had or the rock records that you had. You know?
Yeah. And depending on which friend you went to, you listen to their music too. You're like, oh, they're into new wave, or they're into, they like the Cars, and I'll be like, okay, I'll listen to the Cars at your house.
Yeah, at your house.
At your house. My house, we're still rocking the Eagles because that's all my mom.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it is really interesting. I think it's kind of like Netflix or any of the streaming the programming. It's like there's so much stuff that it used to be like people watch certain types of things. I like dramas, I like documentaries, I like whatever. And then now you're just like, dude, I'll watch anything. I don't care. I'll watch trailers for 3 hours, and all the genres are different. I don't care. It's just filling my time. And I feel like music in a certain way is kind of getting that way. We do a lot of streaming at home, and it's like you just put on a, Pandora or Spotify or Apple Music station, and I just kind of play whatever's in the back. It's just background music. Like, we always have music on. It's always happening. So if that song that we just listened to by Breaking Rust, if that came on in the background, I probably wouldn't think twice about it. I'd be like, okay, yeah, there's somebody's doing fake soul cowboy music, and I'm cooking dinner, and that's fine. But, like to the, like you said, the high fidelity listener, the person that really gives a rip about music and is sitting down to listen, which I don't know how often that happens anymore. But if they are, they're probably going like, that's a bad song and I don't like it, and I'm not going to listen to that. And if it was generated by a computer, it makes me doubly mad.
Yeah, it gives you even more of a bias. Yeah, my mode with streaming is really, there's kind of two, and I see a third mode. Right now, if I'm listening to music, it's either I'm listening to music that I know and love and am probably getting tired of, right? Yeah. Or I'm listening to music that I've never heard before and likely will never hear again, right? On some kind of like radio station. What I feel like when you take like what we've been doing with AI music and what a lot of people are doing with AI music, and you kind of sister that up with streaming, what it kind of feels like is now, or soon, you'll just be prompting in, I would like to listen to a never-ending stream of ska music, and I don't want to have to change the channel or think about the channel until I come back to you, computer. And so, and then they just make it happen, so I feel like maybe even songs are on the chopping block. It's just it's going to be interesting.
That's an interesting take. Yeah. So are you saying like music is created on the fly, or that
I think that's what's going to happen?
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, that's actually really interesting. It's just one endless stream of whatever you prompted it. And then you could, imagine you're cooking dinner, chopping up your vegetables, and you're like, play, Angry Ska.
That's right.
Yeah. And it's just
the thinking in streaming is that there are similar theories about what's going to happen with like streaming video. Of course, though, those streaming platforms happen to be brought to you by your very favorite retailers. So as this gets smarter and as, video content starts to be more real-time generated, all of a sudden there's going to be ads in there. There's going to be placement content, SponCon. They're going to find ways to extract value out of us by entertaining us.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, that's funny.
That went a little conspiracy theory. Sorry.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I mean, I think that's kind of the whole deal here, right? If you're talking about AI, you have to, right? It's like there's like, and I said this in the first episode, there's the creative aspect of it where we're enabling creativity, we're enabling the creation of art through this form. But then there's the ethical side of it, which is just like, is this right? Or should we be doing this? And then there's the commercial side of it, which is, how the hell do we capitalize on this and make money off of it? And that's kind of always where it goes, I guess. I think that's the debate on the internet anyway. It's like, oh, cool, I could have a voice. And then you're like, should I have a voice? And then how do we make money on your voice?
Talk a little bit more about like what you see as like the ethical stuff. Like, let's unpack that just a tiny bit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think there's, if music is being generated by a computer, that means it is being that it's referencing a database of things that have been created before it. Therefore, I think you have inherent potential for plagiarism, right? Like, you're like, oh, I like that riff. I like that thing. That song sounds a lot like the Shabuzi song,
Yep.
Yep. but it's made by a computer, and I didn't do it. I might not know that that's plagiarism, but there might be some chord progression or melody in there that's actually just ripped straight up, right? So there's that. It's like, wait, this was already created, and we created it. But now to defend that, like, I think every song in every genre is some, derivation of something that you've already heard and played, right? Every song I've ever written, I'm sure is, there's only 7 notes, right? So
it all just makes its way back to Beowulf in the end, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. But I do think there's an inherent risk for plagiarism when you have a computer do it, because they're just going like, hey, I've heard this before, that we'll rearrange it and do this, all right? Or this works and do that. So I think there's that. So there's obviously, if you have plagiarism, then you have ethics around like, is this mine? Did I create it? Then I think there's ownership too. It's like, who owns this, right? I created this song, but I created it using a platform that, I've acknowledged the long sheet of terms and conditions that I probably haven't read. Who owns this at the end of it, right? And if I stop subscribing to, say, Suno or one of these other platforms, do I still own this, right? Is this still mine? And, there's that. And then I think the other part is probably just like the gray area, which is where it gets deeper, is like, just because we can create, should we be creating? And is it really creation? I mean, it is creation, because I do believe, people can and we are making music using these tools that is unique and viable. But does it, because we're able to do it so quickly, are we missing something? Are we, by circumventing processes that have been used for years, millions of years, are we now creating a crack in the foundation of society, right? Of the musical society. It's like, music used to be created by people that were musicians or wanted to be musicians and took the time to write it and to sit down together and perform it and record it. And, there's a whole industry around it, obviously. But you and I can make songs in a couple minutes. We can make songs pretty easily now. Everybody's got the ability to do it. And does that start to erode at the value of music, right? If you can do it quickly and you can do it cheaply, does the value degrade? And if the value
That's a scary
degrades,
question.
yeah. And then because music in my mind is like the closest thing we have to magic in the world, right? It's the one thing that can like change your mind, change your attitude, make you feel good, bad, whatever. Without really being able to understand why. I mean, you get goosebumps when you listen to music, and it's like, okay, what's going on with that, right?
Right.
And so if everybody can now manufacture something that does that at some point, have we taken away from the value of it, and kind of, where does that leave us as a society? Now take that, extrapolate it out to everything else that we do, right? And it's like, we stopped valuing food, right? In the 80s, right? Food became like, how fast?
So we got too much of it.
Yeah, how fast can we get this shit in our mouths? And let's microwave it. And look what happened to us as a society, right? We got fat, and we got.
It's a good point.
Unhealthy.
It's a good point.
Right.
Yeah.
So, too much of anything could be a bad thing. Personally, I love being able to create music quickly, and I still think there's some crafting that needs to happen in order to have a good song. But yeah, I don't know. I think the ethics really come into like, should we be doing this? And
yeah, like I said, it's a scary question. When I think of the ethics, I don't want to like make any enemies. Obviously, we're going to become big and famous and find ourselves on some Grammy carpet with Tom DeLonge or Courtney Love or whoever it is. But sorry, Tom and Courtney, I just don't care about stealing from you. Okay.
Right.
It's hard for me to worry about that right now. Maybe later. My ethical questions are more about like in line with what you're talking about. Just because we can make this, should we be making this? And looking at how we got here, which is somebody loaded every page of everything into some computer, including song lyrics and music and notation and all that kind of stuff. And here we are at at this moment of the LLM. Right. Well, what's going to continue to happen in order to increase the size or sophistication of those models is that we're going to keep feeding stuff into the machine in order for it to do and be and getting bigger.
Yeah.
what that means is that all this fake writing and all this fake music and all this fake art that's being used, or excuse me, that's being produced with the version this AI is going to then get loaded in. And like, when are we going to start eating our own tail? You know what I mean? When is it going to be all recycled? That to me, I think, is the Twilight Zone scary situation where we've kind of recycled our own selves so many times that there's no there anymore,
Yeah, that is true. I mean, if all of the music that is being referenced, or say the majority of the music that's being referenced by AI is generated by AI, right? At first it was like, okay, nothing. Now it's like, oh wait, I have all this, you go to Suno and there's millions of songs being created.
Yes.
And they're all being tagged, and all the meta information's being stored. They're like, okay, this is ska music, right? As far as I know, right? As far as I can tell. And you're like, but yeah. So at some point, we're trying to like create music out of music that's been created artificially at some point, and the real music will die by the wayside. And now all we have is fake music, and then like that is what we know. That becomes the reference point. I mean, does it get better? Does it get worse? Do bands just give up and they're like, fuck it, I don't care?
That's going to be really interesting, because I'll tell you what, there's hundreds of thousands of bands that have made it.
Yeah.
And then there's everybody else, you know what I'm saying? And it's like,
right.
Where are those people going to go?
Well, yeah, and the music industry, and I guess this kind of ties into the ethics too. The music industry just got worked, right, by streaming, and so you don't make money as a band on streaming. You make, fractions of pennies every time somebody clicks on your stuff. So you make all your money on touring, right? But if all of a sudden, let's fast forward 10 years, all my favorite bands are not bands; they are generated by stream AI services, or they're just happening and going away, kind of like what you described. Like, I can just prompt music to start happening, and that's what I like to listen to. I'm never going to go to a show again.
Why would you? Yeah,
why would
you're being priced out of them. You're being priced out of them.
Exactly. Yeah, so bands now, I have to go spend $250 to go see a band that I kind of like. It's like, so what happens then? Do all the the collapse of the industry, just, I think it just begins to erode even more, and you have I'm thinking of like all these large places that host all these bands. It's gonna cost you $25,000 to go see your favorite band.
It's gonna be a very rare,
and then everybody else thing. They'll just be gone, right? There won't be small clubs. There won't be any of that stuff. I mean, there will always be the audiophiles that do want to go listen to live music, but if you're not able to, if the mix becomes such that it's like AI music is 90% of what we hear streaming, right? Because we can do it faster and cheaper. I'm not going to know those 10% of bands. I'm just going to know, like, this station plays stuff that I like to play, or that I like to listen to. So it gets weird. Well, I think it gets weird.
And think about this too, like, again, going to like the Hollywood movie production situation, we've all been familiar with this notion of digital doubles for a long time, right? Like, actors are compelled to, hey, yes, we're going to pay you to do your acting, but also we'd like to scan you so that if we have any VFX scenes or whatever later, we don't have to have you come back and deal with your mustache or whatever. It's, we know, and I'm sure we'll get into this in this podcast, but the process by which we've been creating our music is by kind of polishing a band persona. This is the essence of what this band sounds like. And then we go write our songs. I think we're probably, it won't surprise me if we're confronted by some world where Linkin Park has now licensed their persona, and you don't need to listen to Linkin Park songs. You can just use our persona to create your own stream of music, and it's in our style, and you've paid us for that. But they're your songs, and it's about you and your personalized thing. There's going to be some transition while people are figuring out how to monetize themselves, before getting kicked out.
We got to get these NIL deals in, man. We got.
There we go.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. So you're in Suno or one of these apps, and you're like, oh, I want to use the Linkin Park filter or persona, and they're like, all right, that's $29.99 a month, and you can create all the Linkin Park music you want. That's kind of cool.
That's how video games work.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're Linkin Park, that's like cool, man. I just Yeah. Yeah.
And they're going to get a penny off of every stream. You know, I can go make music, but I have to list them as a collaborator or some shit. You know, I mean, it's the sky's the limit.
Yeah. Now they just have all this terrible music being made by
great. What a legacy.
Yeah. By 40-something-year-olds going like, hell yeah, dude, I like that. I like listening to Linkin Park.
I'm gonna go play this at the skate park.
Well, let's transition then. You brought up personas, and I think that's a good transition point. So let's talk. I'd love to hear your kind of intro into Bottomless and the project that we're working on. And I will start with a quick intro on like how we met and to get back to that, and then we'll talk a little bit about the bands that we're creating, what we're doing here. So you and I were at a dinner. We had obviously known each other, but we started talking about music, and I was talking about AI music and how I'd been exploring with it and playing around with it. And you mentioned to me that you basically had fake bands created, and you mentioned that you had done all the design, or not all the designs, but you had designed logos and this whole concept of this festival that never happened, where all these bands were, and you had a T-shirt made and all that stuff. And I was like, that is so cool, because when I was a kid, I used to draw bands. I would just make bands up, and I would draw stages, these like elaborate stage settings, and I had all these bands that were, you know, fake, just made up, but I loved it. And I was like, this is so cool. And, you know, one day, one of these bands will be mine. None of them ever became mine. But so I was like, oh, cool. Well, why don't we talk about, like, I'm doing AI music and you're doing that. And we started collaborating on that. And I think it might have been my idea, which, you know, I'm kicking myself a little bit for now. I was like, let's do a live album of the bands that played at the Bottomless Festival. And from there, we started this project. So, but I would love to hear you talk about kind of the genesis of creating these bands in your mind, and, you know, what went into that before we met, and then like where we're at now. Like, bring us up to speed.
Yeah. The Bottomless Festival really was a visual project to begin with. I had this sort of recurring yearly project that I would call the Hate Ball Capsule. And I would produce 6 or 7 T-shirts a year. In 2019, I got a bug up my butt, or I don't know exactly what was going on. Well, actually, I do know what was going on. One day I was driving home from work, and in a dumpster that I was driving through an alley, I saw a box kind of spilling out of this dumpster, and just on the side of this box, it said Jurassic Nintendo. And I said, that's a good band name, Jurassic Nintendo. And so I walked around with Jurassic Nintendo rolling around in my head. And when I was designing these T-shirts, I was like, oh, this would be funny. Let's make a shirt that is kind of like a really dense Coachella style flyer of just hella band names down the back. And the idea, you know, the feeling that this T-shirt is supposed to make people feel is, you know, like FOMO, like, oh shit, what is that?
I didn't go to that.
Who is Lon Wee?
I was at Bottle Rock that year. I should have gone to that. Right,
I should have done that. So that T-shirt came and went, and then we hit COVID in 21. I had kind of made some changes to my artwork setup. I wasn't getting my T-shirts produced anymore. I was printing them in-house, and I was trying to push the limits there. And so I came back to some of these bands, and instead of just writing their names out, I wanted to make logos. And that was me saying, damn, I want to be in a band, but I don't have any friends and I don't play any music. So I'm going to just find the pieces of this that I can, and, you know, make a T-shirt about it. And then it was funny because, you know, one of our logos for Zanunus, you know, it gives Metallica. Yeah, and I was totally. I was going to go see Metallica at the Aftershock Festival that's here in Sacramento. So my goal was, I'm going to wear this shirt to this thing and, you know, have somebody ask me about it or whatever. I don't think anybody asked me about it, but that was that year. And then in 23, this started, you know, I started to have this pattern, this every other year pattern. In 23, I started to write like some lyrics down because I was going to use AI to make some magazine, you know, that talked about the bands or did some kind of articles, you know, like anything but the music, because I don't know how to do that, right?
Yeah.
And that was when I wrote Brass Razor. That was when I wrote Ejector Seat for Hobgoblin. And then, like I mentioned to you when we talked about it, it sort of died. And then fast forward, we're at this dinner and you're talking about the projects that you're involved with. And of course, I know you to also be a non-AI musician. You have this background where you are a gigging, maybe not touring, but a gigging musician, and you're collaborating with other musicians, and you have this body of work that hasn't been touched by AI. And so here I am talking to a real thing, and I'm talking about my cartoons, and you're like, well, what bands? Yeah. And I think the one that I was able to get out was like, oh, there's this band Hobgoblin. They're violent ska that's anti-gun and anti-cop. And that was more or less the end of the conversation. And then the next day, that was up in Tahoe, and now we're back home, and I just start getting Hobgoblin songs from you.
Yeah.
And it was like, holy shit, this idea might be coming back to life. And I really had kind of like put it to bed, like maybe I'll be making logos or something like that, but this is really always going to be some weird thing that I have to explain. Now it's a weirder thing that I have to explain.
Yeah, now it's a weirder thing. Now we're just playing full on make believe. We're just like,
yes, sir.
We're so far into the dollhouse, it's crazy. For me it was interesting because yes, I do play music, been in bands and gig, not tour, but and so like AI music for me started as literally I downloaded Suno one time, like on my phone, and was just messing around with it. I was like, oh man, you can do some pretty cool stuff. It was still cheesy, but it was like, and I was basically sending diss tracks to my good friend, rap tracks, and just trying to bust his balls a little bit. And then we went back and forth, and then all of a sudden, like the technology started getting better and better. And I think by the time like you and I met, I was like, I'm actually starting to create like real music with this, and was doing it with a lot of my own songs, like, demos and stuff that I had. And it was really a fast way to generate like solid demos. The one piece that's missing, of course, is your own voice, right? You can't like put your own voice into Suno, as far as I understand now. I'm sure that's coming. But it was like, to me, it was like having a studio, like a house band, right? Inside, like in my house. And I would just be like, hey, you know what? I want to hear it like this or faster or, more guitar or whatever. And so I was starting to get pretty good with that. And then when you came along, I was like, okay, now I can actually, because it was kind of hard to do my own stuff in it, with my own voice. I was like, it'd be cool to just like focus on somebody else's stuff and take that kind of producer role. And so obviously the technology is there. We can do that. And I mean, I have to say, the thing that I was most impressed with was, one, the background and all the like the caring that you put into fostering these personas of these bands. It was crazy, but super good. And then like I should have done it with my own band, my personal band. And then two, it was like you had written a ton of lyrics and stuff. I was like, man, this guy had been in bands. Like, you should be in a band, dude.
Well, I am now.
Yeah, you are. You're like 6 of them right now. So, yeah, I mean, I was just like, but it's neat because this is where I feel like AI and the technology that we're talking about like brings this stuff to life. Like, okay, you had me who was like, all right, I know about music, I understand creating music in the tool. You have got these like, you've got the background, you've got all the thought work has been done to put into it, and now here we go, boom, we can manifest this stuff pretty quickly. It still takes time and it still takes man hours sitting down and doing it. But like, that is where I think, if we're looking at the ethical side, I was like, screw the commercial side. I don't care about plagiarism. Like, let's look at how quickly we were able to get these ideas, to market and yes. out. And, I don't care if anybody else never hears them. If you get to hear them, it's like, dude, we just created music for something that you had in your brain for 4 years.
Absolutely. I mean, and that has been how it's been, talking about, I guess, just coming back to the value or the ethics or whatever, so I'm a developer and I am not really a great web developer, right? Like, I'm the guy that can come in with a 6 or 7 level of skill and finish the work that was started
Right.
by the guys that are at 10, right? And that's just
Right.
always kind of been my MO. And in the past 20 years of working with developers, there's this sort of thing where if it's not right the first time, you go back to the developer and say, hey, can you change it, you know, to do
Right.
this? And yeah, they'll change it. Or you can ask them like, what if it did this? And you have a few of those with a person.
Yeah.
You can go back to them and say, man, you know I asked you to do it that way, but now I have this different idea and I'm really sorry, but I do think it will be better. So like, let's look at this. Working with another person, a colleague or whatever, you know, they have only so much patience for that, A. And B, as a thoughtful person, I'm always trying to not bump up against somebody's boundary, right? You know, like I don't
Right.
want my developer friend to tell me, hey, dude, enough is enough, right?
Right.
Those boundaries do not exist in AI, right? You can ask it to go again and again and again and again. And so
Yeah.
one thing that I've noticed that I want to make pretty clear about AI music is that we didn't really take all the elbow grease out. You know what I mean? There's still lots
Yeah.
and lots of going through options and trying to understand, did this make it better? And can we take this part from here and this part from here? It feels like a lot of the same mechanical movements of collaborating with a group of people and
Yeah.
you know, trying to complement your own personal skills with the skills of someone or something else. There's still a lot of the same movements there. I mean, that doesn't make Courtney Love feel any better, but
Yeah, you know.
it's no less true. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that is true. And we both obviously come from like the web development world, and yeah, it feels very similar to that. You know, you build something and you go, oh, it'd be really good if it did this. You know, it's like we're always on that. Like my old colleague used to call it the bitter edge of disappointment, where you're just like, we're always like, that's great, but can we do this? And
Let me see if I can ruin this.
Yeah, but that's also like that's applying that to music creation. That like me being in a room with my bandmates, same deal, right? Like, oh, it sounds good, but why don't we pick it up a little bit, or why don't we, we'll drop out here, we'll do this, we'll do that, and you're always trying to improve and to tweak things. And I think you could probably bust out you could give me lyrics, I could put in a prompt, and we'd have a song, right? And you're like, all right, there it is, And sometimes it works quickly, but like these songs take a while. They take a while to craft, create, get the persona right, all that stuff. So you are still creating art, and you still have to be, I think, diligent and kind of true to yourself in terms of like, am I creating something that's good, versus.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go back to what was it called, Broken Rust or whatever they're called.
Yeah, right.
Like that to me is a commercial play. Somebody is creating music to try to get on a playlist to try and get streams. Now, I am a firm believer that like most of the good music in the world is probably not getting played, and all the stuff that we're doing may or may not get played. But it's at the end of the day, I still have the same passion about it being good as I do with my own real music. So. It does take a long time. It takes a lot of elbow grease. I think anything good takes a lot of elbow grease, and if it doesn't, then it was a miracle, and you're probably never going to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right. If you can just snap your fingers and
yeah.
It's neither here nor there, then guess what? It's neither here nor there. You forget.
Yeah, and I think let's back up a little bit or zoom out a little bit for AI in general. I think it's still the case, right? Like. AI stuff, AI powered things are everywhere now, right? My car has AI built into it. You can talk to the car, and I would say 8 out of 10 times it can't answer my question.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't help you with that. I'm like, all right, that's not helpful. And then there's all these AI tools that you can buy for everything, and then even like ChatGPT and people are doing their homework and resumes and all this stuff in it. It's like if you're just throwing stuff in there and taking whatever it gives you, it's probably not that great. And that's why people can figure that out. Like you still have to dig into it, and you still have to know stuff, and you have to care about it. And I think ideally, we are in the situation where we're creating music that feels like it's been cared about, and at the end of the day, it'll stand on its own or it won't. But that's I'm gonna walk away with that. The last thing I want to do is create a walk my walk and be like, dude, look at this song. You should be dancing to
You know
this.
what? That feels to me, and this is a compensatory strategy, of course, right? Because I'm sensitive to all the things that you're talking about. Like, oh shit, I'm just gonna make somebody's gonna give me some magic button, and I'm not gonna be able to do anything but press it. And here I am in my empire of shit. I think in order to hedge against that, this is why I'm working with you. You know what I mean? Or at least this is why I love working with you, where there is another adult in the room, there is another person there that's helping edit and helping just narrow it to where it's not just, oh, let's make another one, let's make another, maybe pulling back the curtain a little bit. When we work on a song, I'll put together some lyrics and I will say, this feels like something that this band would be doing. You go away, and the next thing that I see is 6 to 12 demos of, here are different arrangements for how these could go.
Right.
If the computer was giving me that, I would go, this one, I would listen, I would be scrubbing around, and this one's not it. The next one, this one's not it. But since you send me those 12 songs, I know I know that there's probably 36 songs that got made, and these are the 12 best ones, and I'm going to listen to each of them, and I wonder what order he put them in for me. I wonder where I'm supposed to be awake. And like I just know in my bones that it's better for having us both involved in it, and trying to counteract the artificiality of just the generator. Now we're actually taking the generated things and refining them to some degree. It feels good.
Yeah. Well, that's good, and I'm glad it's feeling that way. To me, I think I don't think I could have it any other way. Like to just generate a song and go like, all right, Justin gave me some lyrics. Here's the idea. Boom, go. Like we're adjusting arrangements. We're adjusting. I'm like, oh, it'd be cool if there was a solo here. It'd be cool if we broke this down, and then you're fighting with AI to try and make it do what you want it to do, and sometimes it does. Sometimes it just puts hand claps in the middle of it. But
little gospel squirt here.
Every now and then you're like, oh, this sludge doom, stoner doom song should have a gospel choir in the middle of it.
There are children on stage singing.
But those are some good ones. But overall, it takes work and it takes that, but it's fun, right? That's as somebody who likes to create things, it's fun. I think if we were doing it strictly from a straight commercial standpoint, we would be just busting these things out and trying to get, playlists. We'd be spending.
I think it's a numbers play. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're spending money on trying to get bots and things like that to pick it up to get a million things and get mentioned on Mashable or whatever, And that's not at all what I want to do. I still want to create music that sounds like music, that feels good, and is true to what you had envisioned 4 years ago when you made that T-shirt with all the bands. So
all the bands, man.
Yeah. So, what band do we want to talk about here? Let's pick one, and you've mentioned Hobgoblin a couple times. Should we chat about Hobgoblin?
Let's talk about Hobgoblin. Hobgoblin is probably the headline grabber of the bands. They have the weirdest, or maybe the most unique to me point of view, I guess. Hobgoblin is a ska band. I love ska music. I would, if I'm describing sort of my ska background, it's definitely like third wave, from the 90s, Real Big Fish, that type of thing. But also there's this genre of ska called violent ska, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's more of like a hardcore ska. And I got into a place where I was listening to a lot of that, and I was like, this just sounds like so much fun, where I can be pissed off and it's brassy and trumpety, all at the same time. So I started thinking of them. Interestingly, or maybe not interestingly, at the time that I was like focusing on them, I was personally having kind of like a lot of anxiety, like intrusive thoughts about active shooter situations at my son's school, and a lot of that stuff was happening around then. And this kind of became a little bit of an outlet for that, of like, I want to take my rage about my lack of control in this situation and just push it out of a fucking tuba. You know what I mean? And so imagining those shows and imagining all the sparkle for that was really great. And then, we hooked up. I kind of already had a song written for them called Brass Razor. And it was lightning in a bottle. It was holy shit. I didn't expect to hear Hobgoblin. And here they are.
Awesome, and I want to play that, but I realized I didn't have it queued up, so I'm going to upload it, and then we'll queue it up. Actually,
Nice. Nice.
Yeah. Oh, look at that. Let's see if this works. We'll play.
Okay.
Is that it?
Yep. There we go.
Yeah. And we were definitely trying for the live feeling here, so this is.
Yeah. Yeah. Our process has changed a little bit since then, but hearing this for the first time was unlike kind of anything else I've heard, because it was, this is that.
Right.
And everybody I've showed it to since then is like, wait, that has horns in it. That's not AI.
Right. Yeah. What was cool about this too is you had such a kind of a bold description for the band, like a detailed description, and I didn't know much about ska or violent ska at all. So I had to like do some research. So I had to go listen to this. You had given me a few playlists to listen to, and I spent maybe an hour in ChatGPT just like kind of fleshing out what this band would sound like talking to ChatGPT and going like, you know, it sounds like these songs. What should I do? What are some prompts I could use for this? And so I was kind of like, you know, throwing darts trying to get this thing. And I was really happy when I got this over to you. You're like, that's it. I was like,
that's
oh,
the one, dude.
Yeah. This guy's angry.
I want guys being pissed, but also surrounded by this joyful brass sound.
Yeah.
You know?
What's the singer's name for Hobgoblin?
His name is Hack Geneman.
Hack Geneman.
I think Gene Hackman had just died when I was writing that. And I was like, oh yeah, that's a good name.
He's so mad. Let's listen.
Yeah.
That's legit. Yeah.
Yeah, I can feel it.
Yeah. So that was really interesting because, yeah, like I said, there was so much that you had done like on the background of the band, and like me, you know. So again, it speaks to the technology. It's like, okay, I could spend time with ChatGPT, and like I gave it everything you'd given me, and then I gave it some lyrics, and then I, like, you know, within a couple hours, like had probably, you know, the beginning of that. This is obviously V6 I'm looking at now.
Yeah.
So went through lots of iterations, but you know, yeah, all of a sudden it became alive, and then I started listening to it, and I was like, actually, I think I like violent ska.
Let's go on a run, dude.
Yeah. So then from there, like, we used this to create the persona of the band, right? So we, and using that, now you can apply that to other songs. And so the second song we did for Hobgoblin was Tracers, which is still my favorite Hobgoblin song. And I love it. I do want to play a little bit of that, and we'll just go through that. And really, this is kind of the highlight, like how the persona can now be applied. Like, we've established who the band is. We know what they sound like. We have new lyrics. We have new melodies. And, you know, this is what we're saying. Love it.
I want to be at this show.
So it's similar, obviously.
Same band.
That's so good. Yeah. I love the little stabs. It's so good. It's so good.
Those are amazing, dude.
Yeah. It's got that good live feel. I walked around for weeks singing this song. Yeah. This is my favorite line right here. It's so good. So good. Man. So when you wrote this, how long were you sitting on these lyrics, or were you writing them kind of as we were materializing these songs?
Oh, not long at all. Like, my cadence has pretty much been, you know, writing like maybe 2 or 3 songs a week, but each song is maybe 20 minutes or a half an hour, if I'm just being honest. And that song was really like, you know, I also have been learning a lot about music. You know, what makes a violent ska song? If you take away the horns and the fucking people, and you're now just looking at a white page, what makes it a ska song? I've had similar issues with like what makes a metal song a metal song. You know, you don't totally think about this in genre, but grunge songs do not necessarily sing about I and me. It's always about you and it and the world. Same thing goes with metal, you know?
Yeah.
And so just kind of like getting into those rhythms has been really fun. There was even some times, I'll put you on blast here, like even with Tracers.
Yeah.
We had this song, we both loved it. We're both running around just like shooting up the place in our heads. And but then I was like, oh man, this could rhyme better. Let me rewrite this.
Yeah.
And I gave it to you, and I was like, hey, this is going to sound way better. And you were like, look at a couple things. Number one, the technology is iterative, so we're opening the can all the way back up.
Yeah.
And number two, this fucking band would not give a shit about song structure or rhyming. They want to go and blow their steam, So this is sick. Do not change it.
Yeah.
I was like, okay,
no, I do remember that. Yeah. I was like, no. And maybe I was using that so I didn't have to go back and try and figure out how to do it. But no, it was, I mean, I think, cool bands just do cool shit. And, that actually, to me, like one of the things that I've noticed writing, like I've used AI to like try and write lyrics or help with lyrics. It comes up with some cheesy stuff, like really bad rhymes and, and so it's like, as a songwriter, somebody who's written, hundreds and hundreds of songs, like I don't always rhyme. They're near rhymes or sometimes there's no rhyme at all. And like every time I do that, I'm like, oh, that's actually cooler than rhyming. Like, because the expectation is you're going to rhyme here. Yeah. And the AI expectation is like it's a perfect rhyme almost every time. And you're like,
right.
I just said that. Perfect rhyme every time. So I'm AI.
Rhyme every time. You're a robot.
Yeah. But, so I think that was cool. And it adds that, and I hate to say human element, but it does, right? You're like, oh shit, they didn't rhyme it there, and it's live, and it's
Well,
it's cool.
We had a song early on. So there was this coming back to like how this happened. We met at a dinner and talked about this, and we were up in like Lake Tahoe, a couple hours away. You then drove home that night, and I drove home the next morning, with some other people. By the time I got home the next morning, you were showing me what pieces of Hobgoblin could be. And you had written a song, or you had used ChatGPT specifically to write a song called Ricochet Kids.
Yes.
And Ricochet Kids, it's like, holy shit, that's a very cool concept for a song. It used so many cool words that were like, these are the types of, this is the type of paintbrush that I want to be slinging around in this song.
Right.
But it just didn't work, and we couldn't make it work. You know what I mean? It was just this is just too fucking dorky, and so we had to go.
Yeah,
maybe we pulled a word here or there, or whatever. Yeah.
It sounded like it was written by AI, and I remember that because it was cool. It had a good melody, had a good breakdown, had a great chorus, but it was like, no, it just sounds robotic, and it sounds, you know, it's like Kick Rocks, Walk My Walk.
I mean, that's really what it would have been. Is just sort of like, I don't understand why this is hollow, but it is.
Hollow. Yeah. And I think that is, that's how it's kind of like when you look at AI image, you were saying it has that like smoke or whatever, the glow around it. You're like, all right, that was generated by AI. And then you listen to that song, you're like, there's no soul here. Like, even though it is a soul style or soulful style, there is no soul in that. And, I think that's the difference between what we're working on, and we'll toot our own horn here, but there's a ton of soul in this. Like, you've obviously got feelings and passion about it. I've got feelings and passion about the music, and the AI, the tooling itself is putting those things together. And I'm sure, if it was a live band doing this, there'd probably be a little more push and pull, maybe, which I haven't quite figured out how to get working in AI music generation yet, and maybe the guitar player might do something quirky here and there. But
I see. Yeah.
For the most part, I feel like there's enough human element in this to where like it feels like real music, and it's saying things that a computer wouldn't say. It's saying things that only a human would say, and it's doing them in a way that we feel is human enough to be considered thoughtful music.
Yeah.
That is, to me, is the goal. And like I said, at the end of this, commercial viability, it really doesn't matter to me and shouldn't matter to anybody that's actually creating music for music's sake.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, if you want to get on a playlist, you go create Walk My Walk and, make a fake video.
Shoot to the top, boy.
Yeah. So, yeah. Well, so the Bottomless Festival, our whole concept started as doing a like to match your t-shirt was like there's a live festival that happened that you didn't get to go to, and it's got all these bands you've never heard of, and now we want people to have FOMO, right? We're working on, I think we've got, is it 6 or 7 total bands that are going to be?
Yeah, we've got Hobgoblin, which is violent ska.
Right.
We've got Xanunus, which is a grunge band. Maybe a little bit of Southern fried grunge. We've got Haptic Lizard, which is straight up doom.
Yes.
We have Voton, which is like a Peter Gabriel, David Bowie style artiste. And then we've got Mondrian Urinal, which has like a little bit of electro jump to it, kind of like a Killer's Franz Ferdinand type thing.
Yes.
Is that all of them? I think
there's
that's all
one more
of them.
I think there's one more that we haven't done yet, right? There's another band in there that we haven't even.
Voton we've been messing with.
Yes.
My fiance has a little band called Trash Cat, which I'll write a song for her so she can be on the t-shirt. And then we've of course got your band, Sometimes Sheep, which has been like really killer. It's been, and I really want to say that, like, I've been writing all these songs and feeling like, whoa, I can write something that is turnable into music.
Right.
My experience of this Sometimes Sheep music, which you've been working on as a personal project, and we've identified a cool fit for Bottomless. Your personal work there and the way that those songs are layered are a great inspiration for me. Not about like how AI can make it sound, but just watching you as a songwriter. That has been a cool thing to like, okay, cool. Now I got somebody to to write against, but to sort of interplay
like
with, and it's been very, very cool. That's right. Yeah.
That project, which is interesting because that came out of this work that we're doing, right? Like I just had, I was working on the stuff that we're working on, and then took a break, and I had these lyrics in my head, and timed up with some things that were going on in my life, and I was just like, oh, I'm gonna write a song about this. And then Sometimes Sheep, much like you, was an idea for a band that I've always had in my head. Like, oh, if I ever have a rock band, it's going to sound like this, and it's going to be called this. And I didn't really have the songs. I was just like, I had the sound, and I was able to kind of twist and turn, AI to generate. And I was like, holy shit, I think I got it. And from there, I wrote, I think I have 8 songs now, but it's all happened in the same time, in parallel with what we've been doing. And I'm not moonlighting on you, but no, it's just been but when you get in those as a songwriter and as a creative person, you get in that flow. It's like, okay, I'm in it, and as the more creative you are, the more creative you can be, and it just keeps going. So and then obviously the tool allows you to do that faster and quicker and all that. So yeah, I mean I think if anybody's looking to like express themselves musically, like, to me, this is a great way to do it. Like, it doesn't really matter what you've written or how you write or what you've done or what your experience is with music. Just do it, and go out there and put something out. On the first episode, I showcased a song that my friend had written for his wife for their anniversary. He's not a songwriter, but he had some like poetic stuff he was saying. I was like, dude, that's locked in your brain somewhere. Like, you got to get that out, and he did. Yeah. It's great. And so like my advice to anybody that feels like writing is like, go write and go play with it, and we'll worry about the ethics. You worry about clearing out your heart, and getting that onto the screen, because and don't worry about the money. Don't worry about being a #1 single. Like, all that stuff is phony anyway. Just do it, and it'll either make you feel great, or it's going to inspire you to keep doing something that's going to make you feel great. So, I don't know. I'm a big fan of it, and obviously the Bottomless thing has been such a treat to work on. And it's one of those things where it's like, I think I'm spending too much time on this, but not because I don't want to, just because like I want to. So it's becoming a thing, But it sparks so much other creativity in my own persona that I'm really happy about it, and I'm looking forward to when we can finally release it. What does releasing Bottomless look like? What are we doing? What's going to be the end goal here?
Yeah, the end goal. I mean, it would be cool to put this music in a place where most people could listen to it if they could. It's certainly available to whatever degree on Suno already. My 14-year-old listens to it. That's one of my boxes that I'm checking of like, how is this? And he's all about it. He's like, shit, Dad, I want to share this with my friends and cool. Make my own playlist with it. So I do think that like getting it onto a platform where, some of the weirdness is taken away so
Yeah.
that it's easier to share with our friends and family and whoever else. And then, yeah, sky's the limit. If we can get somebody that we've never met to listen to it,
Right.
that would be a win, right? And then,
Absolutely.
you go from there.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, I think, yeah, I mean, in terms of distributing music, I think, I don't see any reason why it doesn't go up to, all the channels, Spotify, Apple Music, all that stuff. It'll be on Deezer. But I guess what I like about what we're doing now, and I know that we kind of debated this a little bit, is I like that we're upfront about like this is AI music, right? Because the last thing I want to do is try and trick somebody and be like, what I almost want to do is like open their eyes and go like, hey, the AI music can actually be good and it can be thoughtful, and it is just the mechanism for producing these things that humans have dreamt up. And I guess in the world of the walk my walks and all that stuff, like I hope that type of stuff doesn't dilute what can actually be created with AI music, or with AI tools. But that's the risk you run. There's shitty music in every genre, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, there's always been pop music and serious music, right? I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure that somebody had an existential crisis when the Spice Girls came out, and you're like, oh shit,
Right.
they're just the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And so I
Yeah.
think it will be about understanding. And I agree with you, like the whole debacle a couple months ago with like the Velvet Sundown. This was the
Yeah.
first kind of large notoriety or notorious AI band, and that started out as like a little bit of well, maybe nobody will notice.
Yeah,
And
they were trying to like get one over on people,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
I do like the upfrontness about it, and it feels like, watch me eat my words, because it maybe isn't like this, but it feels a lot like skateboarding or pinball or pool, where you go and you watch somebody do it and you're like, that doesn't look that hard.
Right.
Like that looks sick. I'm going to do that. And then for me, the minute my foot touches a skateboard, my ass is on the ground, and it's like,
Right.
oh,
This is hard.
there is some time that I can't see that was involved with this. And there's some element that I don't just immediately understand
Right.
upon looking at it. I do think that there will be that element to AI music, folks who are, not at the early adopter edge and not totally resistant, but people who dive in and go, well, what is this all about? And they make a couple songs and they go, okay, that's hollow, and I don't really understand why. And these guys are doing something different. So,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I think that the legitimacy element will take care of itself.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right. I think creators are going to create, and if you're a good creator and you create something good, it will make its way to where it's like water.
Where it's supposed to be. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll find its place. And then I think people that are not creators, or that are creators for capitalistic reasons, will figure out that angle. I've personally never been that way. Sometimes I wish I was. Like, hey, I've listened to like alternative country music, which is most of the stuff that I do with my band, and you listen to like Sirius XM, or you listen to anything that's on the radio, and you're like, I've written so many songs that are better than this. Why is it not me? And it's like, because I don't really know how, and I don't really make it with that intention. I don't know enough people in the industry to make that happen. So, but the commercial people are going to make it, and they're going to go that route. But I think good music can be created, and I think the creators that do it will continue to do it, and the ones that, like you said, try it and realize they're not good at it, it'll stop.
They'll just bow out.
Yeah. That's why you don't see a lot of shitty skateboarders riding around.
Because
it's hard. Yeah, it's hard, and they get hurt. So, yeah.
I like that point of view. There are huge deposits of gold in this planet that will never be found.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
That's art.
Yeah, that is art. Yeah. Well, I'm happy to be making art with you, and I appreciate you sharing it with us today. And
thank you. My pleasure.
Yeah. So, yeah, we'll keep tabs on Bottomless as the bands progress and materialize. We will continue to highlight them here, and we will definitely have you back on, and we'll be chatting.
Fabulous. Thanks so much for having me.
Talk soon.
Yeah. Take it easy.
Bye.
Bye.
Are we ready to take off? us.